Good day. Welcome to another class session that we have scheduled. I have promised that I will provide you a supplemental lecture for some of the concepts that we would like to explore, we would like to examine in these lessons that we will be having. This week we will be focusing on worldviews and philosophies, their influence on education. And this is part one of our study because philosophies of education as foundations will be studied in this series in 2 weeks. So this is part one of our study. These are the references that we will be using. We have Fisher, we have George Knight, and there was a series created by the Seventh day Adventist College presidents on education. It was presented, it was published through the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide. So we will be looking at some of those. These are not my ideas. I will just be explaining simpler some of the concepts that they have um, published. And copies of these are also uploaded in the module. So you can review. I am just picking the very important concepts, the core concepts of what they shared to us. So let's begin our study with philosophy. So, what is philosophy? What is the focus of philosophy? Philosophy focuses on the most basic life issues, particularly questions on life's basic issues. And three, nature of reality, nature of truth, nature of what is of value. So, since philosophy deals not much on answers to questions, but it starts with questions, relevant questions. But before we go into philosophical questions, let's take a look at something closer, a concept closer to philosophy, and that is worldview. What is worldview? Worldview as a concept is closely related to philosophy. A worldview is a basic view of what life is. So, a worldview is your basic understanding of what life is. It is your and my interpretation of reality. So, if someone asks you, what is real? Your interpretation, my interpretation of what is real around you, about you, about the occurrences of life every day. That is a worldview. It is closely related to philosophy, as I said. It is a basic view of what life is. And worldview, aside from that being your and my interpretation of reality, is more than a personal feeling. It is not just a feeling that you have inside in you. It is more than a personal feeling. Fisher said that a worldview are presuppositions or assumptions. These are beliefs that you have in yourself, beliefs to be true without facts, without uh, having to prove it through facts. So these are belief systems. So presuppositions or assumptions are belief systems that you have been using over the past years or times in your life. And it's about basic makeup of the world. It's a belief system, it's a presupposition or assumption about basic makeup of the world. So if you believe that the world is made up of this and that, if you believe that the world is made up of materials, physical materials, atoms, and you believe in that. These are your presuppositions. These are your worldviews. And worldviews helps help a worldview helps us to be oriented with intellectual and philosophical views available out there. So our worldview will lead us to be oriented with philosophical views available out there, because philosophical orientations are already formalized, coded in the discipline. Okay? Because philosophy is a field of study, it's formalized. Each philosophy is coded, having gone through um, um, reviews of scholars in the field. But a worldview, characteristics of worldview, these presuppositions that you may have in your life, can be intuitively developed, even if you don't have a formal education. With your interaction, with your life experience, you can develop a worldview that doesn't have to be a product of formal education. So a worldview can be intuitively developed. And these are answers to life's basic question. In fact, a worldview is personal. It can also be communal. So you may have a personal worldview about life's basic questions, but you can also share that same worldview with a group of people. We call that communal worldview. Characteristics still of worldviews: it offers a view of life and vision for life. So, this presupposition, this belief about the basic questions of life that you have, offers you a view of life, a vision for life. So, if you believe in a worldview that there is a God in the universe who created mankind, then that worldview that offers you the best of life, a vision for life in the future. And a worldview can be processed then into a philosophy. So that's the relationship between worldview and philosophy, because one person can begin to develop a worldview and it can be processed. It can be processed into a philosophy. By how do you do that? You may have a basic belief system of the reality of life around you that you live, but this can be defined some more. This can be redefined some more. This can be deepened through deepening and codification. Who will do that? You, in the process of education, in the process of formal education, in the process of getting a degree, in the process of placing it into the discipline, submitting that for review, and this can be peer reviewed, codified by those philosophers who have gone ahead. And then, if this can be categorized, codified in the major philosophies of the world, this can then be part of um, philosophy. So it's a prelude. It's a the first phase into the development of philosophy. So that's worldview. And each person, educated and non-educated or less educated, having just basic formal education, because he has an experience in this world, can and has a world view. All right? So it can be processed through redefining, defining, deepening, and codification. And when uh, that is formed, it can even go into a creed. When a worldview can be formalized, it can be a creed. a set of beliefs, a set of principles or opinions that will strongly influence the way people live or the way you live and the way you work. A creed is any system, any doctrine, or formula of religious belief as of a denomination. All right? So these are some of the things that we need to clearly understand so that we can differentiate how worldviews can be transformed into a creed and can be transformed into finally a philosophy when that will pass through codification or review of experts in philosophy in the discipline. And these are the worldview questions. What are the worldview questions? Who am I? And that's identity. So you can develop a worldview if you can answer the question, who am I? Where did I come from? How did the universe begin? Where am I going? Why am I here? What is going to happen to me? So these are the questions about identity. And I think everyone, even a young boy, if you will ask a young boy, he can answer these questions. Who are you? And because of his limited experience, because of his limited exposure to the world, he has that beginning understanding of his identity. And that's his worldview and his origin. How did the universe begin? And that's still part of origin. Even a little boy can answer that because he has some knowledge, some understanding, some belief systems in within him, probably shared to him by his parents and those around him, his interaction with his friends as he grows older. But as you go deeper into exposing ourselves into the world around us, we develop probably a comprehensive worldview, or probably our worldview we will compare it to existing philosophies already, all right, that are already circulated formally throughout the world, and we can discuss that in the near future. Also, these are some basic worldview questions. So, what is going to happen to me? Life. That's about a question about life tomorrow. And what is life maybe after death if somebody dies? So, these are some of the worldview questions. And a worldview can be influenced by pop culture, the current culture of the times. So the culture around you, sorry, influence your worldview, influence these basic questions. So your culture, the pop culture, will influence your answers, personal answers to these worldview questions. Pop culture, modern media, and technological forms. Recently, some others have have the news around says if you have the vaccine, you will become we will become a zombie. See, media tells you that, and people try to try to understand that and try to develop some fear, and the way they live, the way they deal with vaccines, you see, have become different because of popular technological forms, the social environment as a whole, your family interactions, culture, social expectations, what society expects of you, your cultural experience, your religious experience day after day. Of course, your education. These influence your worldview, your answers to these basic questions, worldview questions. And there are three major worldviews. There are so many out there. You can read the material that I have given you to for some details of some of these, but these are some of the major worldviews which are already formalized, believed, circulated around the world. Right? These are three major worldviews that major big societies in the world have already accepted or used in their day-to-day living. One, naturalism. So we have three: naturalism, theism, pantheism. Naturalism. So this naturalism worldview believes. What does it believe? And the related groups of this naturalism are the following: agnosticism, atheism, existentialism. In fact, existentialism is a philosophy. Marxism is a philosophy. Materialism also is one. Secular humanism. Humanism. These belong, these uh, philosophies, okay? These philosophies, these worldviews are related, are anchored on naturalism. And what does naturalism teach? What does naturalism presuppose? What are the assumptions? What is the system of belief of naturalism? These are the major points. God does not exist. Be very careful with naturalism because God does not exist. Be careful with the assumptions of agnosticism, atheism, humanism, existentialism, Marxism, secular humanism, because I said secular humanism because these are anchored on naturalism. And the idea of having a God is not important. It's not important to have a God. That's their belief system. That's what all who are accepting this worldview, all right? Uh, this is their presupposition. It's impossible to know and understand God. See, they believe that it is impossible to understand God, to know God, and all realities are in the realm of the physical elements and forces in this world. So, this is real. Things around are real. I am real, you are real because of just physical elements and forces, no God at all. And everything is governed by natural laws. The natural law governs every reality. Who am I? Question. Where am I going? What is the problem? All of these can just be explained by the natural law. Okay? And this governs the existence of the world. That's the natural law. And that is naturalism. All right? So, in summary, that is naturalism. And these are the related groups. And if we read philosophies aligned to this, let's not forget that the anchor points, the core belief system underneath these related groups is naturalism. Number two, theism. Theism, this is the worldview that is embraced by Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. That God exists. There is a God that exists. Here is a God that is infinite and personal. That's what theism basically believes, that God is creator and sovereign in all the universe. Here's one God that controls everything in this world. And God is important. God exists. God is the creator. God is the original creator, designer of the universe and this place that we live in. But these are the basics, but these are interpreted by Christianity, some other Christians, Islam in different ways. In fact, there are some variations that we should be very careful in dealing with, especially when we go to Islam. But generally, these are the major beliefs or worldviews of theism and pantheism. All right, pantheism. Under this division of pantheism are the subdivisions: Taoism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and the New Age movement. And it says God is impersonal and nature is God. All nature is divine because all forces and working of nature are divine. I think this is God is personal. Yes, God is personal. Sorry about that. God is personal. God is closer to everything. Okay? Because in fact, they say nature is God. So let's just check this first one. God is personal. Okay, because all nature, even a person, can be a god. That's why in Hinduism you have those many gods. In other Buddhism, there are so many gods. Okay, because all forces and working of nature are divine. That's why they don't kill animals, because they see the incarnation of God in even plants and animals. Everything, man, animals, and things is God. All right, so these are the three major worldviews. And what is the biblical worldview? We have so many worldviews, but to end this discussion, I will say these are this is the this is the basic biblical worldview. We have to understand that we don't view the world from a neutral position. Everyone has a worldview. One cannot say, I don't have a worldview. I don't see the world. I see the word balance. No, we don't do that. Every person has a worldview. You don't have a neutral position. All right? An atheist can view a rainbow as natural phenomenon. So if an atheist looks up to the sky, he sees a rainbow. He says the rainbow does not have a meaning. This is just a mix of colors, effects of the light. That's what an atheist will say. But the Christians, the biblical Christians, will say a rainbow is not a natural phenomenon. A rainbow is a reaffirmation. If we see a rainbow, I am a biblical Christian. All right, I'm a Seventh day Adventist. Whenever I see a rainbow in the sky, I remember God's covenant to his people, to his children, that he will not destroy the earth again with water or flood. I will understand it that way. That is my worldview. That is my understanding of life. And I see the future. The earth will still be destroyed, and it will not be fire. It will not be flood or water. It will be fire. It will be destroyed with fire. So these are some of the points of the biblical worldview. The Bible is the foundation text of faith. So the biblical worldview, the Bible believing Christians, believers of the whole Bible, believe that the Bible is the foundation text. It's the text of faith. The Bible teaches the only true worldview. That's what we believe. That the Bible that we have in our hand, I will just pick my Bible. The Bible that we have in our hand, this Bible, all right, that I have in my hand, okay, is the only true worldview. Okay, the worldview, my life, how I see reality, all the questions, basic questions. What is my origin? Where am I going? What is the problem of this world? What is life? And what is life after death? What is the problem? What is my present situation? All can be answered in the Bible, because the Bible is the template to help us better understand reality. Bible will help us understand how things happen, how things occur in this whole vast universe. The Bible defines man's reality. What is my reality? Who am I? Where am I going? What is my problem? What is the solution to my problem? The Bible has answers to those questions. Past? What happened to the people in the past? What happened to their lives? What happened to their existence? And what is happening in our present time? What will happen in the future? Future states, past state of man, present state of man, status of man can be explained in the Bible. So the Bible is our text of faith, and the Bible explains creation and the recreation of the world. So the Bible is the text of faith, and God's holy law is written in scriptures, explaining and clearly and perfectly how we should live our lives. Clear and perfect morality. So these are the worldviews, the basic worldviews, and our biblical worldview is under theism. All right. So let's end our discussion on worldviews here, and I hope you have at least a basic understanding of what worldview is. Our next study will be why study philosophy. I hope that in the next supplemental lecture, you will still be able to understand clearly philosophy, as we have already placed worldview as our introductory discussion. God bless, students.